What's up, sewing friends? I hope you are having a fantastic day. Welcome to today's video where we are diving into something a little special to my heart. So in about 4 days, a brand new Assassin's Creed game is going to be launching, and my hubby and I are going to be playing that on our gaming channel. I'll leave the link down below, but I want to do something really cool, and I have wanted to do this since I first started playing the games years ago. Like Assassin's Creed 2 was one of the first games I played, and I fell in love with the aesthetic. I stumbled upon 2 patterns from a creator on Etsy, one more masculine and one more feminine, and I knew I had to make them. I'm gonna leave the photo right here of the 2 that I'm talking about, and I'm gonna leave the links down in the description. I'm gonna start first with Lyle's hood. He just has an amazing eye for design and colors and aesthetic, and he just, knocked it out of the park. He wants the green on the inside as well as the bias tape, and then we're gonna do black on the outside. And he got this stunning gold metallic thread to use as accents, and it's just, it's so pretty. I know that the pattern said to use upholstery fabric. We could not find upholstery fabric that we liked, so we ended up going with broadcloth. I'm gonna cut everything out, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so I finished cutting out my pattern, and how Lori has us cutting the pattern is with 4 pieces of each. So 2 liner pieces and 2 outside fashion pieces. So that's what I did. I actually cut 3 of the black fabric that I'm using and then 1 of the green fabric that I'm using. Because I'm gonna make bias tape out of the green, I wanted to make sure that I had enough no matter what. So I used all the black that I could, and that's what she said too, is that she just cut 2 pieces of each fabric to use as the lining and the outside. So the first thing she has us doing is preparing the hood. So I'm going to sew the pieces together, and then the fashion outsides, and then the lining pieces, and then we're going to insert them and put them together. Okay, so I wanted to just check out the gold thread that Lyle wanted and try a bunch of different ways to make sure he had exactly what I wanted. So I made a little mock-up, and this is kind of what it's going to look like. It's got the green bias tape on the black, and it's going and then this is doubled in the gold thread, which is really pretty. And then I just did whether he wanted it on the seam or in the middle, and he chose the middle. I had to get a different needle because the thread kept breaking just with the needle that I had. It's super delicate, so if you're going to be using any metallic thread, it's super, super delicate, and it will break a lot, so be very careful.
You say I'm craving hope in this darkness. You say I'm just a joke, just a joke.
Okay, so I have all the hoods, all 4 of them, stitched together like this. And now I'm going to iron them all, iron the seams. And then I'm going to put the lining and the outside together, the fashion pieces together. And then I'm going to put what's going to be the outside together and sew it all around the edge. And then I'm going to do that with the lining pieces. And then we'll have 2 hoods that we can just put inside the other one. That got away from me. I'm having a hard time with words today. But yeah, I'm going to do that, and then I will show you how it looks when I come back. Okay, so I've put the lining inside of the fashion pieces. So it's got like 4 layers here, and then I ironed the edges. In full disclosure, I did not iron the hood seams before sewing them together because that was a journey into something I never want to do again. I don't have a tailor's ham. I need one. I don't have one. I would love one, but I don't have one. So I put it all together and hope for the best. And then really all you need to do is just iron your edges flat. So these edges, right, and then this seam, lay it flat like this and iron it on both, and then put it together. And it should look like this. And it looks so cool. It looks real cool. Look at this. Look how cool this looks. Yeah, badass. It's so cool. Okay, so now all I have to do is cut my bias tape because I'm making my own, and I'm gonna do it in 2 inches and then fold it in. And if you don't know how to make your own bias tape, it's really easy. It's real easy if you're using cotton fabric. It is not real easy if you're gonna use anything else that doesn't crease nicely. Like if you're using something stretchy making bias tape, it does not crease nicely. So cotton is great for making your own bias tape. And then you're just going to take a strip of 2-inch fabric. You're going to iron it in half. You need a visual. I've got scrap. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your 2-inch long. This is a triangle. This is not a rectangle. You need a rectangle, but I'm going to show you on this. You're going to take your rectangle and you're going to fold it in half and you're going to iron it. And then there will be a seam in the middle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fold both edges into the seam like this and iron it. And then you're going to fold it over and iron it. And now the opening will be it'll be closed-ended, and you'll put the fabric in between there, and then you'll stitch it like this, and that's how you make bias tape. So that's what I'm going to do for this now, and then I just have to sew the bias tape on here, the trim. So I have the hood all done now with the bias tape all around, and it looks so cool. He wanted to go something, look how cool this hood is. Oh, I am Ezio Auditore, Master Assassino. I love it. It's so cute. He wanted to go a little bit Green Ranger-esque. So it's got that beautiful gold. And I was going to double stitch it, but he actually really liked the single zigzag that I did all the way around. And here's the point. And so yeah, now we are starting on the bodice. And what I did was didn't realize that the pattern said cut on a fold. So I didn't, and now I have to with a very small seam allowance, stitch the backs together and then iron them before I can start building the bodice. So I have 4 of those to do, and I will be back when I'm done them. I had a really hard time understanding the next series of instructions, and I think that was more on my brain not working than her instructions. So I finally figured it out. And what it is you basically put the outside, what's going to be on the outside, and then the inner lining together on front and back, and then stitch the shoulders. And then do the inside, what's going to be like lining it, like on the outside, because we'll have 2 layers of cotton in the middle. And sew that together the same way, and then we're going to put them together. I hope that made sense. Let's do it. We have the inside, which is this is going to be on the inside, all stitched at the shoulder seams, and then this is going to be the outside, all stitched sort of at the shoulder seams. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron, and then she says to top stitch the shoulder seams. I'll get it. I'll get there. So I'm going to do that with both of them, and then we're going to insert them together. So when I've done that, I'll come back, because then I'm going to sew them together. We're coming along. It's coming along. So I got it put together, and this is kind of how it goes in, is that this is the first layer that we put in, the green and the black on the back as the lining, and then the 2 blacks together, because that's just how I cut it. That's how I had fabric. And so they're just together like this now. So this is the inside, and this is the outside. I need to, the next step, I didn't read ahead, and I had no idea that the grommets and the lacing also go up the sides. So the next thing we're doing is I got my bias tape. I made bias tape, guys, look it. And it's got to go all the way up around the armhole, and then all the way down on both sides. So I've got enough, bias tape to do that. I just need Lyle to put it on so that I can make sure the bias tape all ends up where it should and nothing is in a weird position, and he can't do that tomorrow. So I'm done for today, and yeah, pick it back up tomorrow.
Done.
Is that how you felt like a king getting dressed?
Place my armor upon me. Here she comes.
Beans!
Oh, who's that? Squeak, squeak.
Squeak, squeak. Can we say hi? Can we say, yeah, hi.
Hi, pretty girl.
No.
Hi, yeah.
Hi, what are you doing?
Hey, Fin.
Would you like to come say hi too?
No.
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 Come here. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, so good, stressy boy.
What a big baby.
Big baby.
You say I'm craving hope in this darkness. You say I'm just a joke, just a joke. Shivers my spine so bad. Swimming in the river takes too much. I'm trying to let go of us, but the truth is
I've got all the bias done on the outside arm pieces, so all the way up here, all the way around, and down the back on both sides. So now I'm going to stitch the bias on, and then I'm going to switch my needle because I needed a better needle for the gold. So I'm going to switch my needle and do the gold trim, and then I will be back for the next steps.
shivers my spine so bad. Swimming in the river takes too much.
Be very careful with your bias tape and making sure that it is on the seam, especially around the corners, because you got to do the corners, and then you're gonna be like, oh, is my I'm just gonna keep sewing because I'm sure I pinned it right. No, finish the corner, take it off, cut it, realign everything. Because do you know how many times I have done a little bit and then looked back and been like, oh, look at all this, it's not even attached. So many times. So many times. Double check. Sorry about the lighting. I just wanted to catch up quickly. I finished the bias tape on the vest with the gold trim. I went with a bigger zigzag stitch because I think it looks nicer. It looks more like it was stitched in a different time than the little one did, and it's all just preference, right? So I really like that, and then you kind of get to see the two difference too if you want to make this as well. But I spent all that time bias taping it so that it was where it should be around his body. Only to have to take all of that out because bias tape is a vindictive harpy and it does not want to go around the thread that it is supposed to go around. So I had to do it individually every like few inches, re-wrap it, or I was stitching it together and the fabric was over here and the bias tape was over here and it was a nightmare. So don't do that. Do it piece by piece. If you're gonna do bias tape, do it piece by piece, and then just save yourself the headache of the hours of seam ripping. And the next thing to do is put in the hood. So this can go here. My mess. Do not judge my mess. It is something else. Okay, so now we have the vest, the hood, and the vest. It's time to connect the two. So it looks like what is happening is it's going like this, and then this is going to be pinned. Gotta get all the pieces together. I think you measure down the front 4 inches and put a pin in, because back doesn't make any sense because that is basically half. So I'm gonna put a pin right here at 4 inches. Okay, do that to the other side as well. Okay. Now measure. Okay, after reading the instructions several times and then talking it through with my mom because I couldn't figure it out, what I realized is that you just kind of had to trust in the instructions and keep going. So what you would do is you'd measure from the outside into the hood 2 inches, and then you'd flatten you'd stretch it between those pins and put one in the middle. So you kind of end up with like these pleats looking things here. So they're like little tiny pleats. She said you should end up with 7 pins, including the center and the outside, and I ended up with 6. But you know what? It's fine. It looks good on both sides, and we're just gonna roll with it. That's what we're doing today. We're just gonna keep moving forward. So I have the hood all pinned on the vest, and I put a basting stitch in here just to keep it in place. And now I'm going to start the bias tape from this corner. I got the bias tape all made here. What I'm going to do is, because this bias tape is already done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this end in like this, and then put it over this end like that, so that it's got a nice clean edge on the end. It looks just a bit like this. So I'm gonna do that all the way around and then up into the middle of the hood because that I just cut enough for each side. So I'm gonna do that all the way up here until the middle of the hood, and then I'm gonna do the same from the other side and then meet them together in the hood. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna meet them like this, where I'm gonna fold it over and then sew it like so. So yeah. I'm gonna get started on that.
You say I'm craving hope in this darkness. You say I'm just a joke, just a joke.
Bear with me, the lights are still a little weird, but I can't be bothered today. I have completed all the edges for the hood. There's definitely some things that I'm really upset that I missed, and definitely some things that I'm going to do better when I revisit this hood pattern in the future. So I'm really glad that I could have made a mock-up, and it's not perfect. It looks very costumey, but Lyle loves it, and that's what matters. So next we're moving on to the grommet placement. So this is what we're dealing with right now. Obviously this is not made for me, so it's a bit big on me. But this is what we're dealing with. Oh, it looks really good though. Look how nice that looks. Oh, I'm very excited. So next what we're going to do is we're going to do a grommet placement stitch. So you're going to measure in 1/2 inch, and then stitch a black seam all the way up and around and down, and then measure 3/8 in again. So 1/2 inch staying a black, whatever color you're doing, stitch a placement seam, and then 3/8 in again, and stitch a placement seam, and then in there you're going to be putting your grommets, and you're going to want to do that everywhere that there is grommets. So that's what I'm going to do next. But it's coming together. It is. And yeah, like I said, definitely a great learning experience. There's definitely things that I'm going to do different next time. So now I have the grommet placements. I used just chalk, and I measured 1 inch in because that's what she recommended. And what we're going to do is we're going to do black grommets on the sides and gold grommets on the front, which I think is going to be really, really pretty. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I used to do grommets. I used to do grommets for a lot of my dance costumes because I really like corsets. And I swore that if I did any more grommets in my life, it would be too soon. Look at where we are now. Still wanting all the corsets. Please ignore my mid-project mess. It happens to the best of us. I have all my grommets. I have my cutting board, the back of it anyway, and I have a hammer. Okay, I'm gonna do the sides first so I get some practice before I do the fronts because it's been a long time. I'm gonna have to cut the holes because I don't have a puncher. Next time, that is something I have to get. So I'm going to just do my best. We're just gonna do our best.
You say I'm craving hope in this darkness. You say I'm just a joke, just a joke. Shivers my spine so bad. Swimming in the river takes too much. I'm trying to let go of us, but the truth is what's really on us.
I have the grommets that's all in. So this is how it's gonna look in the front. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually make myself corset ties out of the green. So I'm gonna just measure between the two and hope I can get a tie long enough. Fingers crossed. I got all the laces done and laced, and this is how it looks. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. And then we got the hood on the back here. It ended up better than I thought it was going to be. Got the lacing up the side as well. I promise Lyle will come model it, but we're going to wait until the end of the video where I have mine as well and he has his. And then we can take some thumbnail pictures together. So you will be able to see that. Just stay tuned to the end of the video. But for now, it's my turn. I've decided to go with this lovely, lovely purple as the inside as well as the bias trim. So where Lyle had all of his green, I'm gonna have purple. And white as the outside. And I've got really pretty thread to go with it. There are a few things that I learned from Lyle's that I'm going to do differently with mine. Instead of doing 4 layers of fabric, I'm just going to do the outside fabric and the inside fabric, and I'm going to line it with interfacing. The whole thing with interfacing, and see if that's a little bit easier to manage. I'm going to cut out I'm going to put my pattern together, and then I'm going to cut it out. She has this attaching sleeve to sleeve. So this is actually going to be the back, and how it's going to happen is this is going to come over and attach to this like this. So these are going to be sewn together. So I'm going to do the iron on interfacing, and then I'm going to attach the bodice to the back bodice to the front bodice, and then I will be right back. Okay, so this one definitely starts out a little differently. I have the straps connected like this, front face to face, so that it'll be right side out this way. And I'm going to do that on both sides of this one, and then I'm going to do it to the purple outside as well. Also, just a quick aside, make sure that you're double checking that your seams are all on the right side, because otherwise you end up backwards, like I just did, and then seam ripping. So just double check, it doesn't hurt. I swear, I completely had a project blackout. I forgot exactly what I was doing, and I completely forgot that the white is supposed to be on the outside, not the purple, so I put the interfacing on the wrong thing, but that's okay, because it didn't turn out too badly. And now I have the inside pinned to the outside so that the insides are together, like so. I hope that makes sense. I've pinned everything together so that it doesn't like do anything weird or funky. And now what she's having us do is the bias tape around the outside edge and the armholes here. I hope that makes sense. So I'm gonna cut my bias tape and get that all prepped, and then I'm gonna put it on, and then she has us getting started on the hood. So it seems like it's gonna be a very similar process to how I made Lyle's hood. So that's pretty good. It's getting some more practice under my belt, which is really nice. I feel like this pattern wasn't as well explained as Lyle's was. Lyle's had over 40 instructions for his, and this with boning has only 26. So I just feel like there's some lack in the instructions. I think what she meant when she said do the bias tape on the sides was each of these sides where the casing's going to be, because then you stitch the casing up, and if you've already done the whole side, you kind of get stuck here with a funny thing. And if you don't do this bias tape here, you can just stitch it right up the way you can with like this side here, and then you have the grommet placement and the bowing placement. So I will know that for next time. But yeah, it's so cute. It's going to be just adorable. I'm going to be doing black grommets and silver grommets. Silver grommets if I can't do the whole thing in silver grommets, and I'm going to add some black grommets too. But yeah, it's going to be really cute. I'm really excited to do boning. It's my first time doing boning. So here's the boning casing. Let's hope, fingers crossed, it fits and everything works. I got all of the bias trim on the hood done. I have noticed a few things dealing with bias tape, because I've never used it before, is that it is much neater if you sew it as close to the edge of the seam as possible. It just lays so much nicer. And also, it's so much cleaner if you restart at corners. So let's say you're doing this edge here, and you've got all of this to do and all of this to do. It's much cleaner, in my opinion, to do from here to here, cut it, turn it, make a pretty edge, fold it over, and then go from here to here. Then trying to fold this here and make it lie nicely, and then as a continuous strap. And there may be a way to do it. I am brand new. I am just going with what I think is good and what I know how to do, and just improving that way. So if you have a better way, let me know. I'd love to see it. But that's my experience so far in the world of bias tape, is that it's just better to start a corner fresh than try and turn your fabric and all that jazz. I even did the point of the hood like that, where I did this side all the way up here, and I just stitched it right across and then cut it, and then started this here fresh, and it just seems to lay so much nicer. So good to know. The instructions on how to attach the hood are definitely not as clear as they were in the pattern I used for Lyle's, even though the patterns are from the same place. So I'm going to use the information from the other pattern. All it says here is just she puts pins in the marker places around the neck. So I was like, oh, there must be marker places on the patterns. There isn't, that I can see. So I just followed what the previous pattern that I did for Lyle had said. So what it had said was measure 4 inches back from the shoulder seam. This is not a shoulder seam, but I'm using it as one. It's gonna be like here, but for this purpose, that's the only gauge that I have to go off, so that's what I'm using. So I measured 4 inches from this to here and put a pin as a place marker, and then laid my bias tape down, pinned my bias tape on the inside of this place marker, and then measured 2 inches in from the inside of the bias here. And then what I'm doing, because this is what it had said in the previous pattern, is to stretch. So this is what's left between those place markers. And so you're going to stretch that to sort of be on either side, and then put a pin in the middle here. And then you'll have 2 bumps on either side of that pin. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stretch it and then pin it in place, and that will create these pleats. And so then you're going to stay stitch the pleats. You're going to stay stitch it all across so that everything stays okay. I'm going to stitch away from the center on my pleats, and hopefully that is the correct way. So from the center on both sides, fold your pleats. Your pleats can go either this way or this way, right? So we're gonna fold them away from the center line. At least that's what I'm gonna do. If you want to do it the opposite, you go ahead. This is your sweat. This is your hood. This is your creation. You do whatever you feel you need to do. And I support you. If anybody tells you, well, accept a murder, don't do that. That got away from me.
It got away from me, yeah.
But it's not about doing something perfect. It's about making something that you want. And so if you're out here being like, oh, I wish that I could start sewing or do it. Make something, make anything. My mom has my daughter making burp blankets, like receiving blankets for their baby cousin that's coming in January. So they're just going to be serging the edges of a square. Start there. Make somebody receiving blankets if you know somebody that has a baby. Make yourself some cloths to clean with. Like, go get some flannel and make some cloths that you can clean with, and start there. It does not have to be complicated to start. And I know that it's kind of a huge thing to like get a sewing machine, but like, there are secondhand stores. I don't know if you have Kijiji where you are. There's sometimes sewing machines on Kijiji for cheap because someone starts it and doesn't continue. And just, do something fun. Life is short. Life is too short to not do and make the things that bring you joy and that you love. So whatever you're putting off learning or doing because you are too old or you are so busy, or which I totally get being too busy. But it's kind of like fitness, right? You have to make time for the stuff that you love. Otherwise, you're just doing maintenance to get by. And that's no life to have. So, this has been Wisdom with Julie. Do something you love today. Okay, so I have all the bias tape sewn and done. Now I just need to insert the boning. This is what I got. I think it's plastic boning. I'm sure it's plastic boning. She said to make sure you round the edges so that it's curved. I don't know why, but I'm going to do that. I've made a horrible mistake. Oh no. I just want to see how easy it is to cut. If I'm going to need like... Oh, easy peasy. Oh, cool. Okay. Oh, it's just like... Oh. It's literally just pieces of plastic threaded through like, I don't think you can see that, but it's literally just pieces of plastic threaded through like a woven fabric. Okay. Okay. We have 6 channels that we need to fill with boning. So I'm going to just... So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it right to the end so that I know that that's as far as it's going to be. And then I'm going to pull it out just a little bit and cut it there. So that hopefully I'm going to need it to be short enough that when I put the bias tape on, I won't be sewing over it. So I have to make sure. Just needs to be a smidge shorter. There. That should be good. Now I think I'm just gonna pin the bias tape on as I go, just so that it's like, I know I'll have to redo it because bias tape does not like to stay where it is. I believe I called it a vindictive harpy previously in this video. I stand by that. Oh, and also, another bias thing I have figured out, when you fold your bias tape over to create a nice seam, if you cut it on an angle, it folds this way. It folds flat so much nicer. So you don't have those like weird ends poking out on this side. So yeah. And here's the finished product. I am very happy with it. It definitely needs to be extended here for both of us. Lyle and I both have very long torsos, so it definitely needs to be extended torso length for both of us. Just a little bit longer in the waist here for him, and in the arms here for me, because it's definitely giving me boob squishage.
It's an uplift.
It's an uplift, not a good one. But it's so cute. It's such a cute pattern. It came together so well. And these hoods are so stunning. Like, they're so perfect. Everything that I wanted in an Assassin's Creed hood. What do you think?
I like it. Definitely does need to be a little bit longer. It's a little too short and it makes me feel self-conscious.
Totally fair.
Feel like my belly button is showing.
Like your belly button showing?
I'm just not that type of boy.
That's fair. So when we revisit this pattern in the future, we're definitely going to make it a little longer. We're definitely going to make it out of a different fabric. This was a great mock-up fabric, but we're thinking leather in the future. So be sure to check that out in a few years, because in a few years I will be making that. Bear with me. Thank you for watching. If you have not met Lyle, this is Lyle. We have a gaming channel as well where we will be playing the new Assassin's Creed together. Coming this Friday, so be sure to check that out. I will leave that in the description below. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me. We'll see you in the next one.
I keep on falling for you.